This is the River Itchen in the south of England. Stunning to look at, stunning in a rather different way to get into, as at the moment this is my local swimming pool. 5 months ago, I still lived and swam open water in the warm tropical seas of Hong Kong. But with my change in address came a bit of a change in temperature, and it's taken a bit of getting used to. I'm not the only one taking the plunge. With pools shut for the lockdown, open water swimming has become hugely popular here. And in spite of, or perhaps because of the challenge of getting into really cold water, and it's always a challenge, I've become quite addicted to my swims.
Morning. I know.
Of course,
So nice seeing your head bopping away.
of course, swimming at sunrise, as I was here, is the best. But whatever time of day, whatever weather, the river is calmly, serenely waiting. Maximum immersion in nature and maximum physical and mental challenge. And sometimes maximum frozen brain too. But I'm only able to do this because of what I was doing a year ago, somewhere even colder. February 2020, I flew from Hong Kong to Poland to hang out with this guy. Wim Hof has over 25 Guinness World Records, has hiked in just shorts and sandals up to 24,000 feet on Everest, and swum 66 meters under ice, among many other achievements. His winter expeditions allow people to learn his practices, cold immersion, of course, as well as breathing and mental focus. He believes, with his method, anyone and everyone can overcome physical and mental issues, even a girl from Hong Kong who's always hated the cold. The 5 days include breathing techniques and meditation, as well as dips in his local river and sauna time, and it's one of the most intense, powerful, and challenging retreats I've ever done. The final challenge is a 3-hour hike up to his nearby peak in minimal clothing. It was exhilarating, an amazing achievement, and the perfect way to end an intensely challenging and life-changing 5 days that really did see me making friends with the cold for the very first time in my life. Wim says the cold takes out the garbage. While studies are still a bit thin on the ground, it's generally acknowledged that cold immersion strengthens the immune system, which is ideal right now, of course. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, so great for pain. It helps with athletes, and that's well documented, and it improves the metabolism, stimulates the vagus nerve, and helps with sleep. Purely anecdotally, I believe these to be true. Wim is also working on proving, dip by dip, that his method helps bring relief to autoimmune disease, asthma, migraine, as well as stress, anxiety, depression, and more. Of course, there are contraindications. The cold water shock response affects blood pressure and heart rate, but sometimes panic may have more to do with difficulties than the cold water itself. Those with pre-existing cardiovascular issues or high blood pressure and hypersensitivity to the cold should of course consult their doctor first. And always bear in mind, less is more, so as not to invite hypothermia. Back in November 2019, I attended Dr. Mark Cohen's Extreme Wellness Retreat in Bali. The sea's just not cold enough here, so this is the perfect climate for ice bathing. Dr. Mark is Australasia's acknowledged expert on water and bathing. As a medical and alternative doctor, he's the perfect person to talk to about the physical, mental, and emotional effects and benefits of cold water.
Yeah, cold water experiences are as ancient as humans. Since there were before humans, there was always cold water, and in a lot of places that was the only water available. So if people were going to bathe and indulge in water, it was cold. Uh, it's amazing how quickly you adapt. Our human physiology is designed to adapt to cold water. And in fact, we are water. If we look at the molecules in our body, 99.9% of them are water molecules. Now, only 0.01 or less is collagen and protein and nucleic acids, these massive molecules, and all the rest of these tiny little water molecules. So we are water. So cold water immersion is a really powerful way to stimulate our autonomic nervous system. being in cold water for a long time is potentially life-threatening. So our body can go into a fight and flight response. However, being in cold water is something we can be totally in control of, because we can get out anytime, or usually, unless you've fallen off a ship or something and you're stranded. So it's a way that we can very safely mimic a life and death experience and train our physiology and train our mind to overcome a stressful situation, and then build our resilience. Once the water's below about 14 or 12 degrees, that's when you get that real chill factor. That real, it really makes you gasp unless you control your breath. So this is a sympathetic nervous system panic response. And for most people, going to cold water will reproduce the body chemistry and the breathing pattern of trauma and anxiety. It makes you hyperventilate. You gasp and you start to, you panic. And that, if you have past trauma, that actually may trigger the feelings of past trauma, and you've got to be a bit careful that way. But what it does do, it allows you to relive that past trauma in a very controlled way, and therefore overcome it. When you go from hot to cold, it's like you're pumping your vascular system. In the heat, your vascular system opens up, and you've got about 100,000 kilometers of blood vessels in your body, all lined by smooth muscle. And we know that vascular disease is probably the second biggest killer in the Western world, heart attack and stroke, hardening of the arteries. So when you go in the hot, your blood vessels open up, and it also flushes your muscles and the periphery and your skin, which normally they're really flush when you're exercising, but when you're exercising, you're producing metabolic waste products. When you're in a sauna or in a hot pool or in a hot bath, your body's getting flushed, but you're not making new waste products. The waste products are getting flushed out. And then when you go into the cold, all that blood that was in your periphery gets shunted into your internal core. So it goes through your liver and your kidneys, and all those waste products get filtered out. And your blood vessels go from being open to being tightly shut. So each time you go from hot to cold, it's like a bicep curl for 100,000 kilometers of vascular, smooth muscle. When you're in the ice bath, first of all, you have to make the decision to just go in the ice bath, and that requires willpower just to do it. I mean, to wake up in the morning and go into a cold lake, you're exercising your willpower. This is overcoming procrastination. And that plays off into the rest of your life. Any other time there's that difficult conversation or yucky job you don't want to do, you've practiced just, okay, I can just get on with it. So that's really powerful. And then I think one of the other profound things about cold water immersion is your mind consciously or subconsciously, it turns itself off. So it's very calming. Now, your monkey mind, just your activity of your brain, takes 25% of your oxygen. And that's a lot of blood flow, and that's a lot of metabolic energy. Now, when you're in the cold, your body's thinking, how do I preserve energy, to keep myself warm? And one of the ways is to shut off your brain, shut off that chatter. And when that mental chatter shuts off, so often cold water immersion, you can end up with a very sort of calming, relaxing influence. And I think with people, when you're playing with powerful forces like heat and cold, which is just the lack of heat, you need to be careful. You need to know your limits, and you need to sort of, don't force anything. So, and by not forcing things, it means you have to be in touch with your own body and your own mind. And just getting in touch with your body and mind, that in itself is hugely therapeutic and beneficial. And so we know that cold water swimming is a really good, pharmacologically free treatment for depression, because it lifts your mood. And it's not just endorphins that get reacted; it's a whole range of neurochemicals that get enacted when you're doing cold water immersion. So yeah, really profound practice.
Alex Zook has been facilitating ice bathing for hundreds of visitors to Bali since he attended Wim Hof's winter expedition about 4 years ago. The founder of Breathing Cold in Bali, he's just finished leading his second Breathing Cold teacher training course.
Yes, I'm very blessed to offer life-changing breathwork and ice training to people who are wanting to reconnect with themselves at a deeper level. And ice baths, as we will explore, it just works. It's just magical. It's a shortcut. So I really get people to be relax with ice bathing, because we have those preconceived ideas around ice baths that it's dangerous, it's complicated, it's edgy, but it's really not that edgy. So once you are really keeping a few elements of safety with you, it's really fun. So yeah, I think this is an incredible time for people to be learning this skill so that they can help other people reconnect to themselves. It's life-changing for every single person who joins, 100%, because it's, you know, the secret of living is giving. So not only going through personal transformation is incredible, but acquiring the understanding and the tools so you can help others do the same. You know, a lot of things come kicking, says, you know, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And it doesn't take long, but there is a little inner battle to win, especially at the beginning, where you are, all the signals of your body says, why are you doing this? Is that really needed? Do I have to prove myself anything? I don't need this in my life. Okay. And it's a little bit hard to go beyond this urge, which is like maybe 10, 15 seconds. I usually, when I demonstrate an ice bath, by the way, I do it very differently from Wim Hof. I dress like Superman, and I tell everyone, now I'm going to demonstrate how Superman takes an ice bath. And for everybody, we have a conditioning about in our head, who is Superman? Okay, so we expect this guy, a little bit Wim Hof, get there, super in control, nothing's going on, cold water, you're joking. And when I get in, I scream, I cry, I let out, I don't even think about what's going to happen. I just let it all out. And people are looking at each other thinking, well, this is Superman. This is a guy who's supposed to do this for a living. And this is exactly my point, you know. For me, that's being Superman, is a man who is in touch with his emotions, who is allowing himself to be vulnerable, who is just being himself, who doesn't try to pretend and hide his emotions, because that's the source of all illnesses, is when you are just burning down all repressed emotions, anger, frustration, sadness, mourning, and you just keep it in, says, oh, it's okay, I can deal with it, I can deal with it. Well, guess what? You don't. And the body's digesting it all, and it comes out of a cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease, and all sorts of things. And the spas need to reinvent themselves, because the whole definition of wellness is really someone's taking care of me. Give me a massage of some kind, a therapy of some kind. But we realize now that wellness needs to be self-care, needs to come from within, needs to be something that I'm actively taking part of, not something that I'm another passive activity. And when you are definitely part of the experience, that it's completely different. So it's it's empowering.
Charles Davidson is the chairman, founder, and creative director of Peninsula Hot Springs near Melbourne, where he has an incredible wonderland of hydrotherapy, hot and cold. He's also the chairman of the Hot Springs Initiative at the Global Wellness Institute.
In our area, which we call Fire and Ice, we have 2 larger saunas, and they can fit about 30 people in each. And that was really designed around the programs of saunaing. And then we have cold plunges outside. So we have an ice plunge at 4 degrees Celsius. So that's actually through a chiller, and it brings it down to 4 degrees. 4 degrees being the temperature when water is at its most dense. And after that, it starts to expand on its way to freezing. So it's densest at 4 degrees, and you really know it. You hit the water and it's like, it's a shock to your whole system. We also have around 12 to 14 degree cold pools, and we have an ice cave there. So a frozen ice cave with 2 chambers of different temperatures, down to -20 and about a -10. So you can go into one of those 2 chambers. We're growing it because the demand is also growing. More and more people are doing it. People love the cold water for pure Instagram opportunities, for pure word of mouth and communications, you know, all of our bases of communication, which is a picture tells 1,000 words. It's fantastic because it really gives them something to talk about. It's very impactful because they feel the difference. And so when people can feel the difference, they tend to talk about it. And when it's something as visual as somebody's face when they jump into frozen water is quite extreme, and it's a great opportunity to share.
And from Australia, back to my beautiful river. Just sitting here is a tonic, but to be honest, I can hardly walk past it anymore without wanting to get in. I miss the warmth of living in Asia so much here in wintry, locked-down England, but the river has become my solace. It is helping me acclimatise, keeping me healthy, moving me out of my comfort zone by bringing courage and purpose into my days, and widening my social circle. I'm so grateful for these chilly, challenging swims. Total exhilaration in the water, and that incredible euphoria afterwards, and they always leave me with a wonderful sense of achievement.